Welcome back, Savages. Tonight we're talking about the Watchers. I'm pretty sure that's the title of the movie.
It is.
Okay.
I've been coming across a lot of stories and people talking about things that some people call the Watchers. Other people call them shadow people. People also throw around the Hat Man in there. But then there's also the other group of people that they call these beings that are dressed in like a suit, bald head, very plain, very white, pale skin, the Watchers.
Saw that in a movie once.
Yes.
And then they ate people.
Yeah. So the Watchers there's a little bit of history to trace back all the different versions of the Watchers. We'll get the one out of the way so we can move on to the other ones.
My favorite topic.
Yeah, but
This is no offense to religious people. I just don't like religion.
there is actual speak of the Watchers in the Bible. It's a term for a specific type of divine being. There's all different kinds. There's angels, which are considered messengers. There's the seraphim, the cherubim. They are considered throne guardians. And then the members of the divine council, or Elohim.
Psalm 82.
Yeah, that's one we've read quite frequently. The term Watcher appears only in the book of Daniel in the Bible, but it's also in the book of Enoch, which a lot of
I don't know either one of those.
Religious people don't like the book of Enoch. Genesis refers to these beings as the sons of God, and in an attempt to explain away that the idea is that angels can take human women as wives, which then you come into the whole Nephilim thing.
I was going to say, which is a sin against God.
Some people have said that these sons of God were not divine beings at all. They're merely the sons of Seth, the good son of Adam and Eve. But sons of God is often used in the Old Testament to refer to divine beings or angels. According to Enoch, God punished the Watchers for their transgressions with eternal imprisonment in the abyss. How did angels actually mate with humans? I don't know, but if you watch Supernatural, it can happen.
Well, in a lot of the books that I've read, it's basically like angels are drawn to women that have some kind of psychic ability, which is how they are able to carry the children that are produced between angels and humans. So they're not completely mortal, but they are able to harness the power from angels.
Yeah.
Which then goes into whole things that angels mating with women is a sin against God and the children are abominations and whatnot.
Right.
You can tell that's my favorite topic.
So in the Bible, that's where the Watchers come into play. Okay. They're the sons of God, but not really sons of God. It's just a phrase thrown around for any sort of divine being that doesn't fit one of the other categories. Going over to the side of the Watchers being like shadow people and such, that's a whole nother interesting avenue, because shadow people are just, there's 5,000 different explanations for shadow people.
And the ones that we're used to are like the bad kind, where these shadow people and bad things usually happen.
Yes, but there are some shadow people, from what I can read. Granted, I haven't come up against any of the nice ones, but there are some shadow people, watcher things, that are simply, that's all they do is just watch.
Creepy.
Now, There are some things that say they're like a journalist. They just watch and put things down in the book of life type thing. Those are the ones, yeah.
My book of life sucks.
There's shadow people that they consider to be those kind of watchers, and then those are also the ones that people have seen in business suits with the bald head and the white pale skin.
I see something like that and I'm throwing holy water.
Yeah, I mean, that works now that we found it. Mm-hmm. It's not frozen anymore.
Look what I found. It's still frozen.
And there's some interesting theories on what shadow people actually are.
Creepy is one of them.
Yes. One theory is that they're actually an astral projection.
I could see that.
My question is, if it is somebody astral projecting and you're seeing that, is it somebody you know, or is it just somebody out for a random stroll?
It could be both, because you have those people who didn't know they could astral project.
Yeah.
They just kind of end up somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who have learned to astral project and they put their thoughts into wanting to see a specific person, and that's where they go.
Yeah.
So I could see it both ways.
Because there's a lot of people who have shared their stories of seeing this shadowy thing.
Yeah.
And they don't feel threatened. They don't feel scared. They just, oh, okay, who are you? But then there's the other side where some of them just radiate evil and fear.
Which is usually what we come across.
Yeah. And then there's another theory that they are really just guardians sent to protect us, or they can foretell impending doom.
Yeah. That one I wholeheartedly believe, because a couple months before my mom took a trip, all right, Mom, before she took her trip to God knows where, she went and saw a psychic with her friends. And the psychic said, this is what my mom had told me, was that she walked in the door of this place and he said that he was instantly drawn to her because she had twinkling lights over top of her. And then instantly started describing things about my great grandma. And because we all had nicknames for my great grandma, when I was little, it was Candy Grandma, because she would just have these god awful candies that we just loved so much. They're like those gummy.
I know, yep.
Bleh, they were so good, but so gross at the same time.
Yeah.
And jelly beans. She would just have these canisters all throughout the house, and all of us kids would just, oh, Grandma's got candy. When my mom was little, they used to call her Balloon Grandma because she would have just balloons everywhere, and she'd make the kids go outside and play with them. And my mom was like, whoa, holy crap. That same time frame, my mom had a dream about my great grandma, who, by the way, has been dead since I was 11. All she said was, don't do it. It's not worth it. And my mom had no idea what that meant. And then a couple months later, my mom decided that she needed to go on a trip. And it's been 10 years now. But I wholeheartedly, even to this day, feel like that was my grandma trying to talk her out of it. And my mom just didn't understand. But she was already in that mind frame. There was no overriding it.
Yeah.
And I think to this day, that's what my great grandma was trying to tell her, was like, don't do it. It's not worth it. You're going to miss out on so much. I graduate from college in 4 weeks. And, you know, the kids growing up and the stuff that my sister went through and how my little brother had to go through high school. Like with people being like, oh, your mom's dead. Da, da, da. Like that was hard for him.
Right.
I think those do exist.
Oh, yeah.
I always have that feeling like either my mom's here or my grandma's here or somebody's like, hey, don't do that, dummy, kind of situation.
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I've talked about it before, about how I was in that car accident that should have killed us. Mm-hmm. Somehow we all survived. My seatbelt broke, which shouldn't have happened. And the license plate on the car just read it was AMW or AMY upside down, which is my aunt's name. I mean, she's not dead. She's very much alive. But she was thinking about me that same day. And my mom said right before the accident, it felt like somebody had pushed her to the floor. And she said it felt like somebody had pushed her from behind. She hit the floor, grabbed her stomach, and felt like she was going to be sick. She felt like my great-grandma was there, comforting her, and then she got the voicemail, like 5 seconds later of us being in the accident. And that was the first thing she said when she came to the hospital. She was like, yeah, it felt like your grandmother was there. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm 16. I don't care what that means. But now, knowing what I know, like my grandma was like, yo, it's going to be okay. She's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Because I walked out with 24 stitches. And like my aunt, same thing. She was like, yeah, I was thinking about you that day. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Did you cause this or were you protecting me? Kind of thing. So I believe that. I feel like we all have a guardian angel at some point. I mean, mine's probably got a few screws loose, but
I think mine's given up by now. It's already like, no, forget it. It's worthless now.
First coffee, then ghosts. That's
awesome. So then you go from it being a guardian or warning you of potentially bad things going on or whatever to
the Hat Man.
The other end of the spectrum, the Hat Man.
Don't copyright us. It's a joke.
There's the other side of the shadow people, which
we are very familiar with this one.
Yeah, some of them are just nasty. Then there's the ringleader, as I like to call him, the Hat Man. This is where a lot of people don't agree on what he is. Some people say he's a completely different set of entities from shadow people. Other people say, like I do, that he's kind of the ringleader of the shadow people.
It's almost like when they describe the Mothman. It's almost like the similar situation of the Hat Man.
Now, I have had run-ins with this entity. And I also have a friend of mine who is a medium who has some other abilities as well. And her and I have shared stories. And the way she describes it to me is there are multiple, like gazillion, Hat Men. Mm-hmm. They can all communicate instantaneously. It's really weird, yeah. Because I was talking to her about one instance and she already knew about it. And the other ones at another location already knew about what was happening here in this location.
The aliens.
That's one theory.
I know how much you love them.
That is one theory. Some people say they're aliens. Other people say they're interdimensional beings that can travel all over.
Yeah.
And back to that guy in the suit, he's been called a time traveler and an interdimensional being as well. But the Hat Man, he likes to bring fear and panic, but he doesn't speak. He just will stand in a corner. Sometimes he's been seen just as all black shadow, no real features to speak of. Other times he has bright red glowing eyes. He's been seen standing at the foot of people's beds and hovering over them, and that's sometimes when people have sleep paralysis. Oh boy. In my reading, I've actually come across stories where him and some of the other shadow people have actually tried to harm people. And there are stories out there of him taking kids over to his realm and they're never seen again in our realm.
Slender Man.
Yes. We actually did a case with the Hat Man once, where he was convincing this teenager not to take his medication
He's a
he had
teenager.
to take every day in order to basically stay alive.
Yeah. That was the kid said he would see him standing either in the closet or at like the end of the bed. Mm-hmm. And he would just whisper to him over and over again not to take his meds. And then eventually it escalated to where he was like, you have to harm your family. And that's pretty much what
He had told the kid that if he took his meds, that he would harm his family.
Yeah. And that's pretty much when we stepped in. And we're like, no, that's not how this works. Back off. I've heard it described two ways, which again, it kind of like is like the Mothman thing, where you've seen the Hat Man and then something bad happens shortly after, or something has happened and then all of a sudden you just see this man standing off into the corner who's usually wearing a suit and a hat, and he's just standing there, and then as soon as you notice him, he just disappears.
Yeah. And most of the time he's seen at night when in the shadows. But there are multiple accounts of him being seen during the day.
Yeah, I have to drive home in the dark.
The other interesting thing, that this has come from a couple of stories and from my friend. Once you have a relationship with him, you are always tethered together.
Yeah.
She can sever that tie, but he's always lurking around for when you get weakness again, and he will come right back and reattach.
Octopus.
Yeah. So it's not like a demonic attachment where you have to go through this whole thing, but he attaches, but he's not like in you, you're just attached to him.
I don't want to see that picture. It's like creeping me out. We have new things prompted up on the TV now, and there's just like the shadow with red eyes just staring at me, and I'm like, okay.
All I see is Lucifer.
That's what I picture when I get in my car at nighttime. I'm afraid that's what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say this now, and now it's going to happen, but I don't think I've ever encountered a Hat Man. But like I said, a lot of the stuff I see is usually like out of the corner of my eye.
Uh-huh.
And it's usually for like a brief second. But if I see people head on, it's like I see them and then I do a double take and they're gone.
Yeah.
Because I don't focus when people are in the room, because the longer that I stare at them, the closer it feels like they're getting, and I don't like feeling claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why I haven't seen or interacted with him.
Yeah.
Even when we did the cases, I was like, no, boundary up.
No,
Because
you just kind of sat and recorded, and I was the one.
yeah, dealing with that type of energy, I was like, no.
Yeah.
That was too much for me.
He definitely gives off like massive energy and just bad vibes.
Well, we know that the more spirits of any kind want to be visible, they draw in that energy. Mm-hmm. And usually with things like the Hat Man, they draw energy from everywhere. Every spirit, every energy in the room, everything. And they stay for long periods of time.
And they thrive on fear. So the more fear you have, the stronger they become.
So when your kid says, hey, I think there's somebody in my closet, you listen to them, because kids can see that stuff. Don't just brush it off and be like, oh, there's nobody in the closet. There really could be somebody in the closet that your kid's seeing, and it scares the crap out of them. Because trust me, I was one of those kids. I am 32 years old now, and I still sleep with a nightlight because I can't sleep in the dark.
There's another little thing that he's been seeing. He's been seen with an old-timey pocket watch. It kind of adds a new twist to it, because it's like, okay, why, if he is an interdimensional being or an alien or whatever, why would he be concerned about the time? But then there's also another twist to it, where is it just something he's using and mocking people? Just like, well, I'll stay here for another 5 minutes and watch you squirm.
Or is it that he has to get back to some point?
Yeah.
Or he'll be stuck somewhere? Because we have seen some of those movies where spirits of some kind have a pocket watch or some kind of time teller
Yeah.
where they're like, okay, now I have to go back to this point or I'm going to be stuck here.
Yep.
That could be.
Yeah.
Now I just picture this old guy in a suit with a hat just standing on the corner and be like, yep, gotta go. Stick that back in my pocket. Have a nice day, y'all, and leave. I don't know why I went full cowboy right there.
I don't know, because usually it's more like a fedora that he's wearing than a cowboy hat.
Usually
But
a top hat, fedora, or gaucho hat. Southwestern cowboy. Okay, so there we go. I was on the cowboy for a second.
Yeah. It's been more of the fedora type, but there are a lot of things that people have drawn of what they've seen.
Lucifer likes fedoras.
I know. Anyways, back to the train of thought where people have drawn what they've seen, which, God, I wish I could do that, because the things I have seen I could draw. Ooh, that'd be sweet. Sometimes it's more of a cowboy hat looking thing. So again, is that because there's so many of them? Do they not all have to wear the fedora? Is it in rank? Only the high one gets to wear the fedora.
Listen, my shadow man, as long as he's wearing black skinny jeans with holes in them, some kind of band t-shirt, Converse, and a backwards hat, I'm good.
He is said to be about 6'4"-ish.
With a nose ring.
I don't know. He doesn't have features. So.
Well, mine has a nose ring.
He's been seen in the doorway. Sometimes he'll stand in the corner or he'll stand in the doorway. Sometimes he will just poof into thin air, and other times he'll just meander out the door.
It sounds like the Hat Man is multiple personalities.
That, and I would think it's kind of along the lines of most negative entities where they play on your fear.
Right.
And if he knows poofing in thin air is going to scare you more than him just turning around and walking away, what's he going to do?
You walk up behind me and I'm going to summon something to make you go away. But I mean, that's what I feel though.
Yeah.
Like when people walk up behind me or I feel something behind me, that's what it feels like, is somebody is hovering over me. I'm going to wait till she turns around and then I'm going to be like, oh.
I get that at work every day.
It's getting worse.
We really need to get up there.
Yeah.
I hate that feeling where you just constantly feel like there's something behind you.
Like especially when I drive home from your house, it feels like somebody's sitting in the seat behind me, just leering over me. And I'm constantly looking in my mirror and I'm like, one of these days I'm going to see something.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run myself off the road because I'm not paying attention.
No, that's when you just turn around and come back here and we'll get all the things and we'll...
Get out of my car.
Gone. I don't know. I really don't know what to... I mean, we've come up against these things. I've seen them. We've dealt with them. But the normal banishings, cleansings, those kinds of things...
They don't work.
They don't work on shadow people. The only thing that has really worked is... my friend, when she does her thing and she cuts the tie, it works, but it only works for a period of time. And once you go through trauma or you're weak in whatever sense that may be, whether you're sick or going through emotional things or whatever, they just reattach.
Well, fear and sadness are like one of the main feelings that people get out. I mean, you can become scared just like that. Like, I mean, you're scrolling through TikTok and then all of a sudden you get a text message where your heart just drops and all of a sudden you're just like, holy crap. Fear and sadness are the ones that they kick in instantly.
I think those are two of the ones that we feel the most as humans.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
You're
Especially
most
moms.
vulnerable. Yeah.
I mean, because moms are worrying about everybody. They're worrying about kids and animals and whatnot. They're everybody in the house. Moms and kids are, I think, most vulnerable.
Most definitely. We would love to hear your thoughts on the shadow people or the Hat Man or the Watchers, and if you've experienced them, what happened with you. Like, share us with your friends, share us with your enemies, follow us on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And you want to go through the upcomings?
Yes. So June for sure, we have Bel Air House lined up with Nuclear Soul Seekers or Trapped Souls. It's Ryan's group. He invited us to go on an investigation, so we'll get to learn how they do things. And then come May, this is actually just something, we're not vendors or anything, but we're going to go learn from the pros at the Paracon at the Penhurst Asylum. We're going to do an investigation with them. We'll probably do some lives. I'm going to really try to get some interview footage because that would just be amazing.
Yes.
We've got 2 days where we're just going to do some gallivanting around the city. So if anybody lives in that area and they want to come hang out with us, maybe show us some spots around town, that would definitely be pretty cool. We'll be in Spring City, Pennsylvania and Phoenixville, Pennsylvania in that 15-minute area. So if you're around that area, let us know. We're fun to hang out with.